You're a successful woman and you're finding that you used to get out of bed every day excited and passionate about going into that business or corporate job, only to find that now it's this monumental internal mind argument that you're having all the time with yourself about the need to get up and go do the thing that you once felt in love with and now feels like this complete stranger. So maybe you just feel really disconnected. Like at one point, this thing that you were doing was every single part of your heart and soul and fire. And now you've gotten there and went, is this all there is? I worked really hard for this and I don't feel excited about this at all. What is the point of this? And if that resonates for you, then hi, my name is Jen. I'm the founder and owner of Laughing Lotus Wellness. I'm a transformational purpose coach and expert. And what I do is work with women just like you, super successful, got tons of strength and fire, great gifts and talents. And you've carved a space for yourself only to kind of get there and go, this isn't where I want to be anymore. And I help you get clarity around how you got there and really truly where you want to go. And lots of times I sort of specialize in lane changes, meaning that I support women figuring out kind of like, I'm here, but I kind of want to go here. And your passion to kind of figure out a new space to bring that purpose and really show up for yourself and for the world in the way that you want to. So, what we're going to talk about in the very beginning of my opening here, we talked about mindset. That at one point you might have been able to wake up with this really great enthusiasm and this fire in your heart and beautiful thoughts about your day and where you're going to go, and using the mind as this creative tool, only to kind of find your space feeling kind of like dried up. Right? Like it's just not there. Like you're not super excited and enthusiastic anymore. And so today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about reset the mindset. Okay. And so, as a clinical social worker of over 20 years, one of the things I know that's so super important is that we find ways to really work in that mind space. Okay. So that's really what we're going to dive into. So before we do that, it has been a minute. So first of all, let me just say thank you so much for being here today, for taking a listen. I always want to remind you, feel free to kind of take a listen to these like a podcast. Eventually, I might just do some of those as well to kind of make it easier for people to access. I was thinking about that this morning. But in the meantime, you can plug this in. You don't have to see me. There's nothing I'm showing you, right? It's not a free webinar here. Like we're just chatting. And so feel free to take it as you're doing some, errands or you're cooking some dinner. So feel free to kind of take this in bits and pieces and however the format works for you to just really make that accessible for yourself. So we're going to be talking about mindset. So I want to start with this. It's been a minute. I took a kind of extended leave of not even absence. I was in the backgrounds doing things business wise, but not necessarily so front and center live with all of you. And it was really powerful to take a vacation. I did intentionally take some time off for myself, which is balance and self-care, which is I'm always promoting that. So I needed to do the same thing for myself, and actually really found that. If you've ever done this, hopefully you understand what I'm saying. And if you have, feel free to comment on it. I really feel renewed. I think what I realized, and I was just putting my thoughts together today because I always love to kind of sit down and get with the content before I'm going to get on with all of you and talk. And what I think I came to the conclusion was, when you create content like I do, and somebody else might have a different experience. When you create content like I do, you create and create and create. And so much of it comes from passion and soul. And then after a while, what I'm finding is I need to take a reset myself and take a break, step back, because what happened was I came back with a load of creativity. So I think I got here with the content, and really my favorite space to come with content is from here. So I think I went from like the heart space to the head space and back to the heart space. So I'm really glad to have arrived here and feeling really excited about the content that I am going to be bringing you this month, next month, I mean, obviously for all the months, but I have created 2 months of content that I'm really excited about and I think feel really juicy as we want to start taking new approaches in the things that we're doing. And so I hope that you'll find that as well. I hope you really enjoy all the content that's going to be coming. With that being said, let's talk mindset. I just wanted to kind of address, like, it's been a minute. I'm grateful for the time away. I initially was going to apologize to be like the nice, woman. I'm not going to do that because I'm not sorry. It was hard and I sort of missed being in here in this because I love this venue and I love sharing space with all of you. And I really needed the time away to regroup and recenter and reset myself. And so that's what I did in order to show up here today with all of my enthusiasm. So I'm super excited to be here. Okay. we're going to do a couple things. We're going to skip through a couple things and then we're going to dive into the content that I'm really excited about sharing. So, first of all, let's of course redefine reset, right? Everyone just like sighed on the inside. That's okay. So, the way that I love to define it is redirecting your effort to seize and embrace transformation. I was sticking my little sticky note up there. And today I thought, I actually might even shift it this way. So if you're listening, and maybe this is another way to think about it, redirecting your energy. So think about that, right? Because I talk about energy all the time. Your energy to seize and embrace transformation, which is like super money. Okay. So when we're talking about that, that really means kind of being the boss. You guys hear me talk about being the boss of your energy, stepping into your own space and what you need and how you want to show up in the world, right? How you want to absorb your unique quality of energetic transmission, the way that you show up in the world, and harnessing that, seizing that, and then embracing that transformation. And so it's really like taking a moment to sort of pivot and reset. And that's why that is the title of this month's content. The theme is all around reset. And so I love that. So you define it how you like. I did initially redirect effort to seize and embrace transformation because I also love the concept of action. You guys have heard me say this for months. I really believe that so much of our work is actually in that action state. It's not just the thinking, not just the feeling. We actually have to act on the things that we want to step into, right? Makes perfect sense. So we're going to talk about this. I want to start with this idea of New Year energy. And what in the hell does that mean? So, where I'm going with this is about the start of the year, and you can do this anytime. So, I'm going to be really clear about this as well. You can do this anytime. But in the beginning of a new year, it feels like a new season, a new chapter. So, I want to invite you to sort of open that book in your life and journey, open that book, discover where you want to go. Right. So I've talked about having a vision. I would go back and grab those vlogs. I also did a mini one on mindset this week. So if you want to go over to my website, which is laughinglotuswellness.com, and go into my purpose tools, all of those are right there. So if you want to catch up, that's a great spot to go and nab them really easily. But I would say go back because this is like action-packed stuff. So we want to start with that vision and then we're going to come into mindset. So this week is really the focus of mindset. And so, but I want us to think about, we want to harness, seize the energy of this time of year. Another time of year, you might experience it. I know another close friend and I both know that we kind of love to do this kind of work also around our birthdays, that our birthdays feel like pivotal shifts and changes. So everyone's different. You don't have to do it at one time of year. Just the energy presents right now with a really beautiful momentum that we can step into transformation. It's sort of like this bonus goodness that we're getting access to right now around us that's going to help us build and move forward, which is just like money. Like, I'm here for it. Who's here for it? Right. So you want to like nab that energy while it's around you. Okay. And take it and use it. And so we want to think about starting fresh, starting over, maybe just transformation, right? Maybe it isn't even starting over. Maybe it's just that I kind of know that I want to go somewhere and I get my focus on it. And then I'm going to start to transform into the space of doing the things that actually develop into the thing that I want to achieve, or the thing I want to get to, or the quality I want to have, right? It could be anything. It could be certainly attached to your career, your purpose, family, community, spirituality. I mean, I can say learning and growth, right? All of those areas of your life, taking a look at where you want to show up for those and really beginning to put some energy into that. So it's looking at that and kind of starting fresh. And, when do you notice where and when in your body do you notice what that feels like? So I would invite you for a moment just to kind of close your eyes and take a nice breath. And sort of clearing your slate, if you want to imagine for just a moment, I love a fresh canvas, like a fresh artist canvas. So like a really blank slate. And just breathing here, begin to notice what comes forward for you if you think about starting over. What's it like to think about starting over? What's it like to imagine reset and a new energy? The power to transform and move and find momentum again. keeping what's working and releasing what's not, to step forward and kind of shedding the old layers. It's almost like shedding like a snake skin. Like we want to like just move out of one space and into another. And as you breathe, where do you notice that idea? Where can you notice in the body that idea of new, the idea of reset and energy, forward movement? Just sitting for a moment in that. And what I want to invite you to do is kind of have that internal sense, right? So we want to talk about the mindset, but then we also want to talk about what's happening as a whole person when we're doing this kind of work, right? Because we know we all show up, right? We don't show up with parts of ourselves, we show up as the whole self. And so what's happening in the whole self? When I go to work in my mind, my body's influenced, right? When I show up in my mind, my soul is influenced. So we want to really always make that connection that all of the layers are deeply connected. So it isn't, we don't do one thing in one part and only have an experience just here, right? It impacts all of the layers of our being. And so it's why I invited you to kind of go in and for a minute have that internal experience of embodying. What is that like? Do I get excited? What emotions come forward? Do I get nervous? Is it good anxiety? Or do I feel complete joy and passion at being able to restart something? I love that kind of energy. That energy really works for me. So this time of year is always really like money for me because I love like, ooh, a restart, a refresh, a redo, a reset, the new opportunity of stepping into something in just a little bit different way. And that's what that transformation is really about. So it's redirecting your energy, your effort. Like we want to put it into places that feel like they're really going to serve you. And you want to figure out what that looks like for you. And then, so I said, like, where do you want to go? I want you to imagine, like, where do you want to go? Where do you want to take this next layer of your experience, your journey? How do you want to show up for it? And so I want to talk about this. I love this quote. So hold on a second. So this is another mindset thing. So this is by Helen Gahagan Douglas. So I'm really sorry if I mispronounced her name. This is what her quote was this, and I love this. Character isn't inherited. One builds it daily by the way one thinks, acts, thought by thought, action by action. And I was like, that is exactly right. Like, so again, character isn't inherited. One builds it daily by the way one thinks and acts, thought by thought, action by action. So this is like really like show up, right? What she's getting at here is you get the opportunity to morph yourself thought by thought, action by action. And so I always want us to make those connections that one thing has to go with the other. We want to think about it and we want to do something with it, right? So those are always kind of going to kind of be the two keys that are going to want to come together to have a really beautiful experience and some growth. And then this was my other favorite. And then we're going to move on because I got a movie I'm going to share with you guys that I thought was really powerful. So this was one of my favorite quotes. So this is by Ursula Le Guin, I think is how you pronounce it. And this is her quote. It's beautiful. We are volcanoes. When we women offer our experience as our truth, as human truth, all the maps change. There are new mountains. That's what I want, to hear you erupting. The young Mount St. Helens who don't know the power in you. I want to hear you. And I love that, like the energy of this and like the power of it. This is kind of what I would want you to be able to like harness this energy. Imagine yourself as this really powerful piece of nature with all of this greatness. And the world wants to see it, hear it, and feel it. And your mindset, in order for you to share that, is going to have to be in the right space to do that, right? We want to make sure our minds are right to show up and then bring that action forward so that the world can see it in action. Okay. So that was my favorite. That was my favorite quote of the day. I'm gonna be honest. Okay. So I watched this movie. And it was a referral from a friend. This is super funny on Facebook. She was like, I watched this movie, 7 Days in Utopia. It was from 2011. And I was like, past 5 shifts, it was super powerful. If you have the time, go out and grab it. It's on Amazon Prime, blah, blah, blah. And so it was kind of like in one ear and out the other. It was the holidays. I was super busy. And then I was like on vacation. And so I didn't get a chance to really sit down and watch it till the other night. So I was sitting there. I was like, you know what? I'm going to check out because my friend's always got really, she's really great. Hello, friend. Hi, Jonas. So she's got really great taste. She always picks really beautiful like videos, messages. She finds them everywhere. She's so great. And she'll send them to me individually sometimes. So I'm like, I'll buy into this. Let's go check it out. So I turn it in the first 20 minutes. It's about golf. I'm gonna be real. I was like, ah, And the first 20 minutes, I'm like, I'm not really sure this is for me, right? Because I'm not a big golf fan. I've played a couple times. You ever played golf? Feel free to comment below. Um, I suck at it famously. And so, but here's what I will say. If you stay the course, right, which I did, that was not meant to be a pun. If you stay the course with it, I was actually really glad that I watched. And as it unfolds, you begin to make the connections of it really not being about golf, but there's so many metaphors in it. And that was what really became super powerful. I cried at the end, like, of course, because that's how I am, super sappy. But beautiful meaning. And it's super layered. And I will not get to all of it today because I could dissect this movie. Like if I was a professor in graduate school, I would for sure use this as a beautiful tool because it was really powerful. So it's this young guy. I'll give you the really brief premise. Young guy, really great golfer, professional circuit golfer, has a complete meltdown on the course. It's nationally televised, and breaks his golf club because he's pissed, right? Like this whole thing, right? And so all these people get to visibly watch him have this complete meltdown, and having memories of like his dad being really critical, and his dad just was like molding him into this incredible, athlete. But his whole life, but he was missing out on good stuff to like practice and do work. And his dad was like, well, that wasn't really good, and like kind of critical of him when he wasn't having the best kind of game. And so it's really this whole journey of his internal experience. And he gets to this fork in the road, right? Which is, of course, total symbolism of, do I go to utopia? And why he chose that, I have no idea. This other place, I can't remember what it even was. I think it takes place in Texas. And of course, he goes to utopia. What happens is it unfolds that he meets this sort of like Yoda-like Mr. Miyagi. This is sort of like, we're watching it. I turn to my husband and I go, this is sort of like Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. And he's laughing. He's like, it kind of is. And so he meets this rancher who gives him all of these different tools and learning experiences while he stays on the ranch for 7 days. And it's all about mindset. And so that was what was really cool. It's purpose, it's mindset. And I'm watching, I'm like, oh my God, because this guy, and so here's my statement. I said it earlier in the title of this, you can't what yourself into success. You can't hate yourself into success. And if you do, you'll be miserable, right? And so by that, what I mean was he had so many memories and he was so tied up in places from this history of sort of being criticized. And then, of course, his own mind bought into these old stories about who he was and how he needed to be, and that he couldn't be perfect. And so it was this really internal battle for this guy about, how do I do this thing I actually really am good at, and I can love it, but it's become sort of this internal enemy. And all of us have done it. I've been there. I've done it's why I love telling my personal story about being a therapist and getting partway through owning my own practice and not feeling it at all anymore. And how did this happen? Right? So we can really love something and find that we need to pivot and change lanes, which is what I talk so much about with my coaching clients. And so he has this incredible journey with this man who's just giving him all of these like off the cuff. It isn't all, of course, like he isn't painting a picture of where he wants to go. So he takes him out of the golf course, has this beautiful canvas, has the paints, and is like, okay, you're going to paint where you want it to go. And the guy's like, what in the hell am I doing here? Why am I painting? Right? Because it sounds incredible. It doesn't even sound like it makes sense. He's like, how is this going to help my golf game? And sure enough, he paints it, gets up, tees up, and it does exactly what he wants. Okay. So one lesson of this whole thing is you can't hate yourself into success. What he had to do was shift his mindset. How can I show up and do this thing that I'm passionate about, but also really good at? This is my gift and my tool. How can I take and make really deep meaning out of that? That it's going to shift the way that I show up to the game, because his mind was so stifled and he was so stuck and he was so angry, right? And so you watch him morph over this time. And so I really truly believe you can't hate yourself into success. And if you do, you'll be miserable. Okay. So this is a great example of a spot where it was almost like he was hating hating it and driving towards success. And when he could shift those things, he then stepped into the game and had the best game of his life, right? Of course. I mean, of course, that's the ending because it's beautiful and it's neat and it's a nice little package, but it's really symbolic. And so I was like, yes, this is so money. Like, this is exactly what we're getting after. And so by the time I was into this movie, it really is amazing, but it took me a minute because I was like, uh, I'm the person on a golf course that wants to break the club over my knee. My husband's actually fantastic. The reason my husband quit playing years ago when he was in high school, because he was really, really talented, he got in his mind about it. And he'd be the first one to tell you, but he's actually really, really good. And now it's been a minute since he's been on the course as much, but, and so he would take me, most patient teacher. He would be like Zen. I would be like, what? I'd be like, I'm not even kidding you. Like having a meltdown, like on the, the par nine, the nine whole course or whatever. I always did like the really like low key, cause I'm like, I'm not going to hold up a bunch of like serious golfers and their golf carts and their whatever. And I would be so pissed. And what it would do is it would mess up my whole game. Right. So here's what I'm going. I can't hate myself into success. And getting in those spaces of being critical and like, I can't do this. What's the point of this? I would even find myself on a golf course doing the same thing. And so it was interesting to watch this, that even though golf isn't my jam, it's not my like passion and love in life, I understood the meaning of being in a space of needing to look at that mind, because the mind was getting in the way of my being able to do what I really wanted to do. And we've all been, I mean, tell me you've not been there, but please tell me if you've not been in that space where you're like, I need to shift my mind because my mind is getting a mess and it's making this a hot mess for me. It's not showing up in the way that I need it to be. Okay, so that's one. Clarity is queen. So the other, like, finish this sentence. Clarity is queen. Why do I say that? My analogy is this. If you get in your car, and have you done this? Have you done this where you get in your car and the weather's bad, and particularly in the winter, it happens a lot because I'm in Minnesota, so we're in the Midwest, right? So it happens a lot for us where the weather's bad and there's snow and then there's salt and stuff on the roads and the roads get really dirty. And so your windshield gets dirty. Well, then you run out of windshield wiper fluid. Okay. So you're driving, you're praying to God you can see through this disgustingly sort of brown / yellow / grimy looking stuff on your windshield. And you're hoping to God you're going to get where you're going, right? This is not the ideal format for driving. Right? So you have to pull over, get your windshield washer fluid, do the thing. Anybody been there? Okay. If you ever like looked through a span this big where your windshield wiper happened to make one last swipe where you could sort of see through, been there, done that, right? So what we're talking about is clarity is queen. We need to have clarity in mind and the vision that we have in order to achieve it. And so we don't get there through the muddy window, right? We need to clean that off, get a cleared space, and have clarity around where we want to go. And so this is where that all of the layers of the work we're doing this month in the vlogs is about clarity so that we can show up and do what we want to do in direction of where we want to go. And so it's really about starting with that vision of where do I want to go? Where do I want to land? And then what am I going to need to do to get there? And part of what you're going to need to do to get to where you want to go is you have to have your mind right to do it. Okay. So if my mind is, this will never work, I can't do this, I'm not capable of this, who did I think I was anyway? All of the famous people you've ever seen that have been successful didn't get there by self-flagellation. They didn't get there by hating themselves. They got there by creating space for struggle and space for pain and space for our stories. They made space. And that's really what I want to invite you to do this week is expand that mind space to open up and get your windshield washer fluid back in there, right? Maybe even go through the whole car wash, right? Get some real clarity about where you want to go. And really listening internally, right? Your intuition will drive a lot of this for you if you can get quiet and listen in. So the next thing I might be working on is listening in. So next week I've got a webinar coming and it's all about manifesting. I was like, I might need to do something on deep listening because listening is super important in our journey. But your mindset is everything. And so what I would really invite you to do is to spend some time really investigating, where do I want to go? And what would I need to, if I walked myself backwards, what kind of mindset do I need to get to where I want to go? And it's not going to look like hating myself. It's not going to look like being ungenerous to myself. You don't hate yourself into success. I'm sorry, I just don't believe that. And when you do, it comes at a cost. Okay. So, I mean, I want to be really clear. The people that hate themselves into success of a version of themselves arrive with significant damage. So I want to say that too, that I've seen that in my office as well. And I'm not going to dive into the different ways that shows up, but I mean, I could, but I'm not going to for just the sake of time today. But I do want to say that I do, where I've witnessed people do it, they show up with some significant scarring. And so we don't need to do it that way. What I would say is we can do it by way of love and kindness and compassion and like, right, like let's just be nice to ourselves. We don't need to be showing up in a space of hate and unkindness. We can show up with a lot of compassion and patience. And when we show up that way, there's a whole different energy to the mindset. And so that's really what I want to do. Last week was about vision. Go back and catch that. I'm serious. It was really good. Last week I felt really like fiery. So it was like super good. So go catch that information on vision, right? Creating a vision. And this week is creating the mindset. The mindset has to be there to support the vision. First, I have to see where I want to go. And then I've got to have the thoughts that are going to hold that up. Because what it's all going to be is it's building that platform for your momentum and transformation. We have to have those things together. Right? Does that make sense? They build like a sandwich. Okay. So we want to kind of add those things in. Okay. For today, we're going to wrap up with this. We talked about clarity, we talked about mindset. And what I want to share with you is that I have a free webinar next Wednesday. The 19th is from 7 to 8:30 Central Standard Time. It's free. It's virtual. And we're going to come together and we're going to be working on manifesting a reset. And it's called Eyes on the Prize. Why? Because clarity is queen. And that's why we're going to hone in on what is happening. How do I take these things and put them into action? It's going to be very experiential. There's going to be some meditation. We're probably going to do a tapping exercise. I'm going to see if I can get the sound healing to come through. We'll see. We're going to do exercises. It's going to be really active. It's not just coming in and listening to me talk. And so I get really excited about that stuff. And I personally love when I show up to free like events and things like that. And there's a lot of like movement, right? I want momentum. I want you to show up excited and I want us to be creating and crafting something. I don't want it to just feel like, oh, I came in and I listened to a class. And so it's going to be, yes, education and things like that, but it's going to be a really beautiful combination of exercise as well. So we're going to be doing some things that are going to boost, because those are all in my energetic wheelhouse, right? That's how I kind of approach coaching, is we want to add those things into the learning for the biggest and most profound growth and shifting and changing. And so to reset, next week on Wednesday evening, we are going to be coming together to do that for an hour and a half. And so I invite you to go sign up for that. You can go right to my website, laughinglotuswellness.com. You can go into events and right in events, you'll see it. And there'll be a button that says, take me to sign up or something like that. You click there and you're going to get right to the page, sign up. It takes literally 10 seconds and you're up and running. And so I would love to see you there. Come join me. It's free. Bring a friend. Come and do some manifesting. And again, this is just a great free resource. And I'm super excited to be bringing all of that energy to all of you. And this momentum of this time of year is like something that I get super excited about. I've been planning the webinar today, was sitting down with some of my ideas and mapping things out a little bit again, which I love. I'm getting really excited about it. And so do yourself a solid and come show up for that. And here's what's really neat. I don't typically do this, but in this webinar, I'm going to be announcing, and so celebrating a huge launch of something that I'm throwing out there to the universe in February. It's a big dream of mine, and I'm really excited to share it. What happens for people that are in attendance, and only for those in attendance at the live, get a major bonus for the upcoming thing, and you only get it if you're there in person. So that's the only way you're going to receive. That's the best bonus you're going to get. And that will be talked about way at the end of the program. And so if you're there and you're like, Jen, I don't know if I want to know about it, and you sign off, namaste, thanks for coming, right? But if you're interested, that's going to be the spot to nab that excellent bonus. I've got some emails I need to send out to some of my loyal people that I think are going to want to be there because they're not going to want to miss out on this bonus. And so I have a little extra work on the side to do there. But I will encourage you, truly, I mean this. And this is not something I don't mess around. So just so you know, like, I'm not like, oh, this is like the bonus, and then I'm actually going to give it out for a week and a half to everyone and their brother and sister. I don't do that. So when I say that's the space to get it, I mean, and trust my words, that's the space to get it. So I will be opening up and talking and launching something really huge that evening. And I'm so super excited to be bringing that to you. So not only are we coming together to reset and manifest your journey, you get to see and witness and participate in a little bit of mine. And so you're going to get to see some of my dream come to life. And I'm super excited to be able to share that. That will not be an hour-long presentation. So I will guarantee you, I will save just a little bit of time at the end to talk about that. And again, if you're like, peace out, right? But I would say stay for it and hear about it. And if it's something that feels great for you, great, you get an awesome bonus. And if not, hey, like I said, zero obligation. That's the way that I roll. If it's got to be a hard yes, right? I'm a big fan, and we've said this a lot. I love some of my very favorite people that I follow say the same thing. It has to be a full-on body yes, or it's a no. And so this won't be for everyone necessarily, but I want to at least bring it as an opportunity because I believe so strongly in it. And so I hope you'll sign up and get this bonus, because you'll be sorry if you don't, if you decide you want to do it. This is going to be a one-time thing. This will not be a regular routine thing I'm doing. I'm doing it just because I'm so excited. And I want this opportunity for as many people as can grab it to get this bonus. And so again, go to my website, laughinglotuswellness.com, click on events. You'll see the button there for the event. The next is history, and you're signed up and ready to roll. Do not miss this. Invite a friend, tell your sister, tell whomever. It is female based. This is going to be a women's evening of working into reset and your eyes on the prize, getting super clear. Clarity is queen. And that's what we're going to work on next Wednesday evening. You don't want to miss out. So go get signed up for that. And then until next time, my loves, I wish you love and light. It has been so nice to be back with you live and in person. Again, as always, if you've got questions, comments, please put them in the comments below. I absolutely love that, and I will answer every single one. And so if you've got questions or anything you want to know more about, I always invite that. And so please do. Your questions are someone else's, and so I love that. But otherwise, my friends, like I said, until next time, this is Jen sending blessings, love, and light, supporting you on the rise to your path to purpose. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.